Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a behavioral scientist. I'm also a professor of leadership at Holt International Business School. What that means is that I write and teach courses in leadership and other business skills for adults around the world. In today's unit, we're going to focus on how to be clever with money. Every person in the world can spend money. That part is really easy. However, not many people have the skills to make smart decisions about how to spend their money. With the skills that you'll learn in this lesson, you'll be able to improve your life and the lives of the people that you care about. All over the world, people want to spend more money than they have. Unless you are a billionaire, you will find that you cannot afford to buy all the things that you want with the salary that you have. Even when many people have the same salary, some of those people will be very smart with the things they buy, and many people will not. So how can you be one of those people who is clever with money? The first step is to understand the difference between what human beings actually need and what human beings want. A need is something that you and your family cannot survive without. A want is something that will make your life better, but you can survive without it. Let's recap that idea. A need is something that you and your family cannot survive without. For example, to stay alive and healthy, you need water, food, enough clothing to protect you from the weather, and shelter. A want is something that will make your life better, but you can survive without it. You might want a new shirt, but so long as you have clothes, you can survive without a new shirt. Being clever with your salary means being sure that you can pay for the things that you and your family need, and also put money aside to treat yourself and your loved ones to the things that you want. So imagine this big triangle is all the money in your monthly salary. First, you need to take most of it in order to pay for the things that you and your family need. That's the big green section. What you can see here is that, secondly, we put aside money for the things that you and your family want. Let's do an exercise to practice this idea. In this exercise, you'll learn to distinguish between needs and wants. The following slides are intended only as instructions to trainers. They're not part of the lesson for learners. The objective of this exercise is to learn how to distinguish between needs and wants. Here you can see some examples of things that people might want to spend their money on, as well as things that people need to spend their money on. So, for example, we have food like cabbage, onion and potatoes, or cooking oil and electricity. These are the sorts of things we typically classify as needs. But we also have in this list things that are definitely wants, like a takeaway meal or a new phone case. This exercise is flexible, so you can run it in different ways. That allows you to choose what suits you best. To prepare for this exercise, print the previous slide and cut it into pieces representing the individual items. Alternatively, you could find physical models to represent these items, such as an empty sack of beans, an empty bottle, or an empty egg carton. If you run this as an exercise for individuals, you will need one set of items per participant. If you run this as a total group exercise, you will only need one set of items overall. This exercise will have much more impact and be much more memorable for learners when they actually physically handle items and physically place them either into the needs pile or into the wants pile. So if you choose to run this exercise as a total group exercise, I suggest that the left-hand side of the room will be for needs and the right-hand side of the room will be for wants. At the beginning of the exercise, all of the items are placed in the middle of the room, which is the neutral area. Call the name of the first participant. He or she must pick up one item and move it either to the left side for needs or the right side for wants. The rest of the group is asked to indicate whether they agree or disagree. It's important to encourage discussion. Call the name of the next participant, who will then go and move the next item, either to the left or to the right. Repeat this until all the items have been moved either to the left or the right-hand side. Over the period of this exercise, every participant in the room should have taken part in the discussion and moved the items between the two choices available. As a second option, you could choose to run this just as an individual exercise. In that case, each participant is going to need their own set of items, which they can put in the middle of the table or desk in front of them. The left side of the space in front of each participant will be for needs, and the right side will be for wants. Each participant is asked to move each one of the items either to the left side for needs or the right side for wants. When everybody has moved all of the items either to the left or the right, each person, one at a time, should be encouraged to describe the decisions that he or she has made. It's important in this exercise that you allow for individual variation. It is better to encourage people to explain their own choices rather than tell participants that they are wrong in their choices. For example, some people may not need transport or school uniforms. If you'd like to read further, here is the bibliography for this section.